Now let's turn our attention to Borno State, where education takes the second largest share of state's 2025 budget with about 69.81 billion naira. But how much of that figure has truly impacted classrooms, teachers and pupils? In this next report, TVC News senior reporter Jesse Tafida takes us beyond the numbers to see how the funds are being used and whether budget promises are becoming real change.
These classrooms tell the bigger story, the story of how billions in public funds are being put into work. In the 2025 state budget, 69.81 billion naira was allocated to education, roughly 11% of total spending. That's a big commitment in a state still rebuilding after years of insurgency. The money was earmarked for rehabilitating public schools, constructing new mega and technical colleges, recruiting and training teachers, and funding basic education programs worth nearly 12 billion naira.
His Excellency the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, was actually the architect of Borno mega schools. And His Excellency Governor Zulu was part of the Kashim Shettima administration, and so we were, but in a more smaller role. So it is continuity. He continued with that vision of ensuring there's equitable access to public schools. When a child goes into one of these schools, he won't feel in any way that the child in private school is better than him. Part of the problem we had in education in Nigeria is the inequitable access. So that idea of equitable access, building public schools very large and in a grand style, started with His Excellency the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima. The coordination, budget coordination in Borno State is such that every intervention is tracked, from the monthly federal allocation to federal government intervention to local government intervention to intervention from development partners to intervention from the United Nations and to intervention from loans like World Bank related loans and the rest. Every aspect is tracked. At the end, when we give the midterm expenditure framework, we reflect every intervention and we scale up our budget. So this is how we are able to achieve, by coordinating. We have what is called the Education in Emergency Working Group, where we coordinate the activities of partners. And then we had a lot of intervention from World Bank, Agile supported projects, World Bank BESTA supported projects, and then His Excellency has also funded passionately whenever there's an education requirement. It always receives priority and it receives funding.
On the ground, evidence is visible. From mega schools inaugurated in Maiduguri to classrooms given a facelift in rural areas and a back-to-school campaign that is already bringing pupils back to their desks.
Education sector under His Excellency the Executive Governor is working very, very well. He has done all that he need to be done concerning the education system in Borno. It has been good.
Teachers say the recruitment drive and planned training sessions will go a long way in improving learning outcomes. International partners also confirm progress, noting that more learners in Borno now have access to safe and better governed schools.
I would like to reaffirm our very strong commitment to really support the efforts of the government to provide children and adolescents in this state a very conducive learning environment and a brighter future. We are truly impressed by the way you have been building back better. We are very, very committed to supporting your efforts to rebuild and strengthen the education sector.
We have remained resolute in revitalizing this cherished system, adopting a strategic and inclusive approach that preserves its essence while modernizing it to prepare our children for the demands of today's world. We are determined to ensure that every child in Borno State, regardless of their educational background, has access to opportunities that equip them for a brighter future.
A budget is just numbers until it shows up here in a classroom, in the hands of a teacher, or in the confidence of a child returning to school. In 2025, Borno invested 69.81 billion naira in education, a bold commitment whose impact is already taking shape. Classrooms are rising, opportunities are widening, and hope is gaining ground. The true measure now is sustaining transparency alongside this ambition, so citizens can trust that every kobo is not just spent, but transformed into lasting progress. Jesse Tafida, TVC News, Maiduguri.